be there with that many people. And yes, there were an awful lot of people. I mean, wow, there were a lot of people. The best estimates I have are 500 to 1,000. I don't think 1,000. I think in the range of around 500 and maybe some more. However, it is a huge desert, and you can be packed in with the main group, and the main group was really kind of packed in together. But there's so much area and land around the main group that you can be as alone as you want to be. You can be as private or as social as you want. It really is your choice, and it will always be your choice. We are such a friendly social group, and I think it will be shocking to you how friendly a small group of people can be, who are like-minded and are kind of outcasts of society. We are kind of deliberately making ourselves outcasts of society. We are, to some degree or another, choosing to live outside of the societal norms. And that's something we share in common, and it creates a bond that very few people have. I think you'll make friends and connections and contacts, and it will be a community. I would say there are a number of people who have told me that for the first time they felt like they had found a family. So I think for that reason alone, you should all come and not be so intimidated by the large number of people. And there will be a lot of people there. I'm not going to deny that at all. I'm expecting a lot of people at the RTR this year. There's been concern on the internet about permits. The BLM does a strange thing. In January of the year, there are so many people that come for the big tent. And the big tent is a lot of the draw of what goes on in January, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the big tent. There are so many people that come then, and it is so crowded that the BLM waives the need for a special use permit for the month of January. Now, if you're doing a commercial activity, you still need a permit, but this is non-commercial. I make zero money on this. I ask for zero money. Every so often we'll take donations for a very special purpose, but none of it goes to me. This is an absolutely non-commercial, non-profit event. There is no permit required, and some of you have been worried that I need to get a permit and I'm not getting a permit and it's going to be shut down, and these things get started. I don't know how these things get started and flow around the internet like wildfire. None of that's true. None of that's going to happen. There's no permit required. We've been going there for the last 8 years to this exact same spot. We see the same rangers every year. They know us. They know our neighbors. There's a large group of escapees that meet near us, and they speak highly of us. We've maintained a good relationship with them. We are not noisy. We're not drunks. We're not partying. They like us there. We have a good standing, and we leave that land cleaner than we found it, and I mean without exception. So we've done a tremendous job of keeping the BLM happy. They're glad we're there. They have no complaints. So one of the questions I also get is, Bob, you know, there was such a problem last year with you when you have this famous video where you come on and have kind of a hissy fit. And boy, I don't want to go to a place where people are going to act like that and there's going to be hissy fits, and who knows if you're going to endure and make it through this. So I'm not sure that I want to come because of that. You know, when you did that video, it just made me really turn me off, and I kind of thought, I'm not going to go to an RTR. Well, I want to assure you that I did have a kind of a bad day that day, and I put it right out there for YouTube and the whole world to see it. But I believe we found a solution for it last year, and I think we'll carry it out this year. And that will be a new pattern. We're going to designate an area of land, and we'll put out signs and say this is generator and music area. And so they can go over there and they can run their generators. And a lot of you need to run generators. I have no problem with generators. I just don't want you beside my rig. And when there's 500 of us packed into a small area, generators become a big issue and music becomes a big issue. The majority of us, and I know this pretty much for a fact because I hear it from people all the time, they are so grateful that I make an issue out of it. They don't want to listen to their neighbor's music. And after last year's episode, and let's just call it that, I gave a lot of thought to why I am so bothered by your music, other people's music, whoever it is, doesn't matter who it is, or it doesn't matter what the music is. The fact that I'm in my van and I have to listen to your music aggravates me to a degree I can't even tell you. In fact, I did tell you, didn't I? I packed up and left. It aggravated me that much. And I realized why. I am a true introvert. Energy is drawn from me when I am active with other people. And I regain energy. My batteries are depleted by being around other people. And when it's one or two or three, it's easy. And especially the better I know them. I'm with people now and have been for the last couple months. And it's not a depletion. I know them, I'm comfortable with them, I can go away and be alone and we can be together, and it's not a problem. But when I'm in a group of 500 people and I don't know any of them and they all want to talk to me, boy, I could just feel every ounce of energy draining out of my whole body. And the only way I regain energy is to go off and be alone. And I mean be alone, no one with me. And I do that by going in my van at night. And if I go in my van at night, I must be alone. And here's what happens. You're 50 feet away, you and a group of a dozen or 24 other people, and you're loud, you're making noise. And I'm in there, and I am no longer in my van alone. You're with me. Why? Because I hear you. I hear your every word. I have to be in my room, in my van alone, to recharge my batteries. And I think a lot of people are introverts in our group, and they feel exactly that same way. And so we will have rules. There are going to be rules this year, and I want to go over the rules. We will have a designated area for generators and for loud music. If you want to go and play your music, again, there's nothing wrong with music, and it's fine. You can play music with the main group as long as you can find all of your activities to your campsite. If the campsite that's 30 feet away from you, here's your music and here's your generator, then your things have invaded their site and their lives, and then it's no longer your issue. What you do in your life is absolutely none of my business, and I don't care. When it comes into my home, then I care. And so that's the rule. So I don't want to belabor this. I mean, I've covered this really well, and so I'm not going to belabor it. Another really, really important rule is dogs. Dogs need to be on a leash. Now, our first 4 or 5 RTRs, the dogs were not on a leash, and there were no rules about it, and it worked okay because we were so small. But we've become so large, and now what was started out with 5, 6, 7, 8 dogs has become a dozen dogs, 2 dozen dogs. There may be 100 dogs kind of packing up and running around, and that's a lot of poop. Dogs poop, let's face it. Humans fail to pick up their poop, and then people walk in dog poop and get very angry at walking in dog poop. If I don't have a dog, I shouldn't have to walk in dog poop. That's a reasonable thought process as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of people don't have dogs, but your dog poop is in their front yard. Dogs peeing on your stuff. That was a real issue. And I'm one of the most guilty. My Cody is a peer. He just pees on everything he can. And once one dog pees on something, they all pee on something. And so the bottom line is dogs have to be on a leash. The bigger issue, though, is that it is a BLM rule that on BLM land, dogs have to be on a leash. And whenever rangers have come into the camp, either in National Forest or the BLM, the very first thing the ranger says is, these dogs need to be on a leash. And so if we're going to stay in good standing with the BLM and we're going to have a pack of 100 dogs running around, they have to be on a leash. And that's just the rule. If you come to the RTR, your dogs have to be on a leash. You have to control your music and your generator, and your dogs have to be on a leash. That's the rule. And let me really emphasize here that the RTR is not a party. It is not Burning Man. There won't be drunkenness. There won't be rampant drug abuse. There won't be a lot of naked people running around. It is not a party. It's just simply not. And if you think you're coming to the RTR to party, don't come. Can I make that any simpler? If you're coming to the RTR to party, don't come. You're not welcome. It is my camp, and you're not welcome in my camp. And now I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute, because they're going to hear nothing but endless complaining about me saying it's my camp. It is my camp, and I'm going to explain to you why legally it is my camp. Now again, what you do in the privacy of your van and your RV and in your campsite is absolutely none of my business. Of course people drink there. Of course people do drugs there. I mean, this is America. You can't get 500 people together anywhere in America and somebody's not doing drugs and running around naked and having sex and playing rock and roll. I mean, that's just life in America. And that will be going on there. However, it needs to be confined to your campsite, to your little area. If it exceeds that and comes out and you're drunken and loud and obnoxious, I'll ask you to leave. And I've done exactly that before. Now, let's deal with this issue of it's public land. I can do anything I want on public land and you can't say a thing about it. It's not your camp, it's my camp. Well, wrong. It's quite simply wrong. Legally wrong. So here's the way public land works. If there is a gathering, someone has to be responsible for that gathering. And the person who is responsible then becomes legally liable for everything that goes on in that camp. Now, at the RTR, there is no question who is responsible for it. I am. All the rangers I've ever had to deal with where we have a large activity know that. They know who I am, they know my website, and they know I'm in charge. And I'm going to give you specific examples. 2 summers ago at the in Flagstaff, I held a summer RTR. It was a lot bigger than I had anticipated. There were about 100 people, and I had not anticipated that, and I did not get a permit. We had too many people. We had about 100 people. Anything over 75 requires a permit. Here's what the ranger did not do. He did not go around to all 100 people and give them a ticket. Because if you come and show up, you're not doing anything wrong. Here's the person who did something wrong. The person who invited them all there and they all came, that guy did something wrong when he didn't get his permit. And I did do something wrong, and I did get a ticket. But I was responsible. The ranger walked into camp, and everyone I talked to said, yeah, he knew you. He knew Bob, and that's who he wanted to find. He wasn't trying to find out who was in charge. He knew who was in charge. So there is some person who is in charge of that event and is responsible for what goes on there, and that person is me. So if you're going to screw things up, now if you screw up, you go up there, you get drunk, and you become a disaster, he'll come and take you and cite you, and you're responsible for your actions, and then nothing's going to change that. But then if it happens a lot, he's going to come to me and say, you're either going to control this event or we're going to shut you down. So I am equally on the hook for all of your actions. And so I am responsible. And I do have the right to say to you, this is not a party, and if you come and party, I will ask you to leave. And I have no authority. You know, I'm just a guy who lives in a van and likes to talk about it. That's all I am. But what I will do is call the ranger and say, I've got some people here I can't control, and I'm afraid that it's going to get out of hand. Can you come and talk to them? Now, your discussion will be then with him and not with me, because I have no authority in the least little bit. I was a campground host for 4 years, and so I understand how this works, and having no authority, but fortunately, the rangers all know you have no authority, and they back you up. If the ranger has a problem, he calls the LEO deals with it. If the LEO is called in, he's pretty unhappy. I mean, you've already kind of messed up his day. So he comes in ready to solve whatever the problem is. The bottom line is there's no question that legally it is my camp, and I am responsible for it. And if you are creating a problem that will get the RTR closed down and shut, I'm going to do whatever it takes to solve that problem. And the only thing I can do is call the ranger and say, I've got these people that will not behave. They insist on being drunken and disorderly and noisy. I'll call the sheriff. I'll call whoever I have to call, and they'll come out and deal with it because I have no authority whatsoever. Now, when I say all this stuff, it makes it sound like this is a huge problem and there's always this drunkenness. We've had 2 issues of drunkenness in 8 years, and they weren't bad issues. They were just, when people get drunk, some people are really obnoxious, and they were kind of obnoxious. And I asked them to stop, and they stopped. And it's not been an issue. And I don't want to, by laying out these rules and going over this over and over and over again, it makes it sound like it's just going to be this horrible problem. It is not. But by laying it all out, I hope to avoid any potential problems. So there are simple rules, common sense decency rules. No drunkenness, no wild drugs, no wild party. This is not Burning Man. This is a gathering of people who want to live wild and free and on wheels, and want to make friends and build family and community and tribe. This is a wonderful, positive thing, and it has always been a wonderful, positive thing. And this year will be, again, a wonderful and positive experience for everyone there. And by laying out these rules and expectations and actions that will be taken, I believe it will be the best ever. And this is the more reason you should come, because you can be secure in the knowledge that this is going to be a great time, meeting great people and learning lots of great stuff. And I will probably camp further out this year. I won't camp in the heart because it's just too much people, too many. I'm just too much of an introvert, and it's too draining for me. I need the seclusion. I've gotten 500 emails, 1,000 emails this year of people who were saying they just can't wait to get to the RTR and meet me. And I really honestly am looking forward to meeting you all, but think about what that's going to mean. I've got to meet 500 or 1,000 people, and meeting 5 people is hard for me. So I need some seclusion and some alone time. What should you bring? Just some, all this stuff's on the website, cheaprvliving.com/gatherings. Go there, and I've answered all these questions. Just real briefly, don't expect anything. Bring everything you need. Expect weather to be potentially bad. The Arizona desert is usually fairly nice in January, but it can be windy, cold, and rainy. So come ready for windy, cold, and rainy. Everything in Quartzsite is expensive. Bring all the supplies you think you'll need with you, so you have to buy the minimum amount there. That will save you money. Water is easy to get in town. Trash, there's a free dump that's open, I think, 4 days a week. So trash is easy, water's easy. Bring most of your own food because food will be expensive in town. There's a possibility that I will bring in, a very, very good possibility that I'm going to bring in porta potties this year. I think the BLM has never said anything, but I think it will just smooth things over for the future with this larger group if I do. And I've had enough people who said, boy, we really wish we could get some porta potties, that I think I'm going to bring in porta potties. But don't assume that. Assume there will be nothing there for you. So come ready to be able to go to the bathroom all by yourself in your own rig. The permit. Permit is a question I get over and over again. People really get freaked out about this permit. The permit is a non-issue. The first day of the RTR, we'll hold a seminar, and I will tell you where you can do everything in Quartzsite. I'll tell you where you can go get water, where you can dump your trash. I'll give you maps. I'll tell you where to go. I'll tell you where to go get the permit and when you can get the permit and how to get the permit. It's free. It's an automatic. It's just bookkeeping for Washington, D.C. to know how many people come to Quartzsite. That's all it is. It's just bookkeeping. We will have seminars. We talk about how to go boondocking, where to camp for free. We talk about work camping, how to make money on the road. We talk about a snowbird schedule, where to go certain times of the year. We'll talk about how to go down to Algodones and get dental care, really cheap and quality dental care and glasses. We'll have a solar seminar. We'll talk about cooking methods in a van and an RV, alternative cooking methods. We'll have a lot of really great seminars. You'll learn a lot. We'll have an open house, so you'll get to see other rigs. You'll get ideas of how people do things, and I think you'll find that really, really helpful. I think the sharing of ideas, person to person, is most important of all the things we do. And something else that happens almost always is little groups form up and then travel together. That happens nearly every year. Every year for the last few, a group has traveled to Baja together. They said, well, let's just all go to Baja. They learned how, and somebody had already gone and spoke fluent Spanish, and they all went down together. Slab City is another example. There'll be little groups that almost always form and go to Slab City. They're together, they feel safer. It's new and it's kind of scary, Slab City. So that's what happens. Friendships form, connections are made, and they travel together. I've known people that started traveling together over the summer and just became kind of nomadic buddies and traveled together a lot. I've actually done that with other people myself. I have more friends now, and not just because of the website and the YouTube channel, but everyone I talk to says this. when they became a hermit on the road, they finally started making really close, intense friendships. And I think you will find that for your life too. This will not be the loneliest time of your life. This will be the most socially connected time of your life. And one more reason you should consider coming to the RTR is to get a job. And I always time the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous around the big tent. I mentioned that before. The big tent is literally just that. It's a great big tent. And I've heard it's the biggest tent in the world. I don't know if that's true. I do know it's a gigantic tent. I mean, it must be the size of a football field at least. At any rate, it's huge. And what happens is vendors who are hiring get booths. So last year I went in and shot a video, and I went up to showed you all the different vendors. I think 6 or 8 different vendors. I talked to the person at the Beet Harvest, and I think I talked to the Amazon. And they're hiring, and the goal there is to hire for the summer season. And in Amazon case, they're hiring for the following winter. And so you can get a job. And I don't know of anyone that came and said, I'm going to the big tent and try and get a job, who then said, I didn't get one. Almost everyone gets one. And I time it the last weekend of the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous is the first day of the big tent. The first day is on a Saturday, and that Saturday is the last weekend. Sunday's the last day of the RTR. And so if you come, you can go to the big tent and get a job. And I'll have this video coming out really shortly with this one, and you can see the big tent and what it looks like there. So a big reason to come: make friends, learn lots, and get a job. And all those things will be there waiting for you if you want them. Let me say that again. You come to the RTR, you'll make friends like you've never had before. You'll learn so much new stuff, or you'll teach other people new stuff. That's a good reason to come. And you very potentially will find a job for the following summer and for the following year. So I think you should come, and I think you should start planning now. This will come out sometime in the middle of October. You should start planning now to come and be there. And I think you'll be so glad you did. I've never known anyone who went and said, I hated it. I've known people who said it was just too many people, and it was great for what it was, but it was hard because there were so many people, and there were. And that is a potential. That could happen. But I think you'll still have a great time, and for the vast majority of us, it will be a wonderful experience that you will treasure all your life. And even if it's too many people, it's still worth doing that one time. So I hope to see you there. Stay tuned for that video on the big tent. And in the meantime, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you later.